Hey, Mr. Martin's IB biology class. Welcome to our deep dive. And, today we're going to be talking about something that's pretty essential to life as we know it, water. But we're not just talking about, what comes out of your tap or what you see in the ocean.
Right.
We're going deeper than that.
Yeah.
Like way deeper.
Like way.
We're talking about why water is so essential for all those cool biological processes you're learning about in class.
It really is fascinating how often we kind of take water for granted.
Yeah.
Like it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
But we rarely stop and think about what makes it so special.
Totally. I mean, we all know the basics, right?
Yeah.
H2O,
Right.
2 hydrogens and an oxygen just hanging out.
Yeah.
But the real magic starts when we zoom in on that molecule.
Absolutely. It all boils down to how those atoms are sharing electrons.
Okay.
They're forming what we call covalent bonds. But oxygen, you see, is a bit of an electron hog.
Uh-huh.
It pulls those shared electrons a bit closer.
So it's like a little molecular tug of war.
Exactly.
And oxygen's winning.
Exactly. And because of that, you get what's called a polar molecule, where the oxygen end becomes slightly negative,
Okay.
and the hydrogen ends become slightly positive.
Interesting.
And that is where water's superpowers really start to emerge.
Superpowers. Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
Think of it this way.
Okay.
These tiny charges, these positive and negative poles, they set the stage for what we call hydrogen bonds.
Okay.
Now, these bonds, they're weaker than those covalent bonds that are holding the water molecule itself together, but their impact is huge.
So these tiny bonds were like the key to water's, larger-than-life role in biology.
You got it.
Okay.
For one thing, they make water incredibly cohesive.
Cohesive.
Yeah, meaning the water molecules, they love to stick together.
Right.
Picture those perfectly round water droplets clinging to a spider web after a rain shower.
Yeah.
That's hydrogen bonds in action.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And that leads to surface tension.
Yeah.
That force that lets insects like water striders walk on water.
Exactly.
Which is something you guys can actually observe yourselves.
Right, in your own backyard.
Maybe even on your way to class.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay, so those hydrogen bonds aren't just about sticking together, are they?
No, they're not.
What else are they up to?
They also make water adhesive.
Okay.
Meaning that it loves to cling to other substances as well.
So it's like it can choose...
It's got options.
Stick to itself or stick to other things.
Yeah, in a way you could say that.
Wow.
And this selective stickiness, you could call it, is essential for plants.
Okay.
Remember learning about how water travels up the xylem vessels in a plant?
Yeah.
That's adhesion at work.
Oh, wow.
The water molecules cling to the walls of those tiny tubes, almost like they're climbing a ladder made of hydrogen bonds.
That's incredible. So these microscopic bonds are responsible for getting water all the way from the roots to the leaves.
It's pretty amazing, right?
It's mind-blowing. Like something so small can have such a huge impact.
Absolutely. But wait, there's more.
Okay, bring it on.
We need to talk about water's ability to dissolve substances. What makes it a fantastic solvent?
Right. You always hear water called the universal solvent.
Right.
But why is that? Does it all come back to that polarity thing?
It does, because water has both those positive and negative ends, remember?
Yeah.
It acts like a tiny magnet, surrounding and pulling apart other charged molecules, allowing them to dissolve. And this process, we call that solvation.
Solvation.
Yeah. Now think about how salt dissolves in water.
Okay.
The water molecules, they surround each sodium and chloride ion, breaking them apart and allowing them to disperse.
So it's like the water molecules are like this welcoming committee.
Yeah.
Just like embracing and separating those charged particles.
That's a great way to picture it. And this ability to dissolve stuff, it's crucial for life because it allows water to act as the medium for all those metabolic reactions, all those complex chemical processes happening inside cells.
Yeah.
They need a liquid environment to occur, and water is the perfect stage for that.
So it's like water is the lifeblood of a cell?
Yeah.
Like transporting all the nutrients and removing the waste.
Exactly.
All thanks to its ability to dissolve things.
Precisely. Think about your own blood plasma. Carrying oxygen and nutrients throughout your body, or the xylem and phloem in plants, transporting water and sugars.
Okay.
None of that would be possible without water's incredible dissolving power.
Okay, so we've got water being sticky. It's a master dissolver.
Right.
It provides the stage for life's essential reactions.
Yeah.
Are we listing any superpowers?
Oh, there's more.
Okay.
Don't forget about its physical properties, like buoyancy, viscosity, and specific heat capacity.
Okay.
These play a huge role in shaping life in aquatic environments.
Okay.
And they even impact things on land, too.
Okay, I'm all ears. So
Okay.
let's dive into those next.
Let's do it. So let's start with buoyancy, that upward force that makes things float.
Okay.
It all comes down to density.
Right. Density, how tightly packed matter is
Exactly.
in a given space.
Yeah, you got it.
But how does that relate to water and buoyancy?
Well, water is denser than air,
Okay.
which means it packs more mass into the same volume.
Okay.
And this higher density creates a greater upward force, making objects feel lighter in water.
Oh, okay, so like, think about how much easier it is to lift a friend in the swimming pool
Right, exactly.
compared to like lifting them on land.
Yeah, it's a great example.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But some things float effortlessly and then others just sink like a stone. Why is that?
It all depends on the object's overall density compared to water.
Okay.
So if an object is less dense than water, it floats. If it's denser, it sinks.
Okay.
So a beach ball, for example,
Okay.
mostly filled with air,
Uh-huh.
making it less dense than water, so it floats. A rock, on the other hand,
Yeah.
much denser than water, so it sinks.
It's like a density showdown.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay, cool. So what about viscosity?
Okay.
What even is that?
So viscosity is a measure of a fluid's resistance to flow.
Okay.
Imagine pouring honey versus pouring water.
Okay.
Honey is much more viscous.
Yeah.
It flows slowly and resists deformation.
Uh-huh.
Water is less viscous. It flows easily and adapts to its container.
Okay, so are those hydrogen bonds making water more viscous than air?
You got it. Those hydrogen bonds, they create more friction between water molecules as they try to move past each other, and that increases the resistance to flow.
Okay.
And this higher viscosity is something that all those aquatic organisms have to contend with constantly.
So like a fish has to work harder to swim through water than a bird does to fly through air.
That's a great way to think about it.
It's like swimming in syrup.
Exactly. And their bodies, they've evolved incredible adaptations to deal with this.
Okay.
Like sleek, streamlined shapes to minimize drag.
Okay.
And powerful muscles to overcome the water's resistance.
So like a dolphin.
The torpedo-shaped body of a dolphin.
Yes.
A perfect example of an adaptation to water's viscosity.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about thermal conductivity.
Yeah.
Does water like transfer heat differently than air does?
Absolutely. Water is a much better conductor of heat than air is.
Okay.
And this is because water molecules are packed more closely together, allowing them to transfer heat energy more efficiently.
Like if you jump into a cold lake,
Right.
you feel that chill so much faster
Way faster.
than if you step outside on a cold day,
Exactly.
even if the air temperature is the same as the water temperature.
Exactly. That's because water is so much better at transferring that heat away from your body.
That is so true.
Yeah.
I have definitely experienced that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this difference in thermal conductivity,
Yes.
it has a big impact on aquatic life, right?
Absolutely. So aquatic animals lose and gain heat much more quickly in water than land animals do in air.
Okay.
That's why marine mammals, like whales and seals, have that thick layer of blubber.
Yeah.
It acts as insulation,
Okay.
helping them maintain a stable body temperature in the cold ocean.
Just like their own little built-in wetsuit.
Exactly.
All right, cool. Now, what about that last property you mentioned?
Okay.
Specific heat capacity.
All right.
What does that even mean?
Specific heat capacity refers to the amount of heat energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of a substance by 1 degree Celsius.
Okay.
And water has an incredibly high specific heat capacity,
Okay.
like really high.
So it takes a lot of energy to heat up water,
A lot.
like way more than it takes to heat up air.
You got it. And that's because of those hydrogen bonds again.
Oh, those hydrogen bonds. Always up to something.
They require a lot of energy to break.
Okay.
Meaning water can absorb a huge amount of heat without its temperature changing drastically.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it this way.
Okay.
A swimming pool on a scorching summer day
Yeah.
feels much cooler than the air, right? Even though they're both exposed to the same amount of sunlight.
Totally.
That's because water can absorb so much heat without getting super hot.
So it's like a temperature stabilizer.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And this property has enormous implications for life on Earth.
Okay.
Think about how oceans help regulate our planet's climate.
Right.
They act like giant heat sinks.
Mm.
absorbing vast amounts of heat during the day,
Okay.
releasing it slowly at night,
Uh-huh.
moderating temperature swings, and creating a more stable environment.
And then on a smaller scale,
Yeah.
it helps organisms maintain a stable internal temperature.
Exactly.
Like when we sweat
Yeah,
to cool down when we get hot.
exactly.
Our bodies can absorb a lot of heat before our temperature rises too high,
Right.
thanks to water's high specific heat capacity.
Precisely. So you can see these physical properties of water buoyancy, viscosity, thermal conductivity, and specific heat capacity.
Yeah.
They all play a crucial role in shaping life in aquatic environments.
Okay.
And influencing life on land as well.
This is all incredibly fascinating.
Yeah.
We've talked about water being sticky, a superdissolver providing a stage for life's essential reactions, and now we've explored its, impressive physical prowess.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff.
But how does all of this play out in the real world? Can we see these properties in action in living organisms?
Absolutely. Let's compare two fascinating Arctic species.
Okay.
The black-throated loon and the ringed seal.
Ooh, a little good animal comparison.
Yeah.
Tell me more about these Arctic dwellers.
Okay, so we've got these two Arctic species, the black-throated loon and the ringed seal.
Right.
Both live in a world dominated by water,
Yeah.
but they've taken very different evolutionary paths.
Very different.
What makes them so interesting to compare?
Well, the black-throated loon is a bird that spends a lot of time on the water's surface,
Okay.
but it also dives deep to catch fish.
Okay.
So it's like a master of both worlds.
Right. It needs adaptations for swimming and de-flying.
Exactly.
That must be challenging. It is. Loons have lighter bones than many other birds, which
Cool.
helps them stay afloat. But unlike birds that soar through the sky for long distances, their bones aren't hollow.
So they're less dense, but not completely hollow.
Right. Why is that?
That's the ingenious part. It allows them to dive deep underwater without being too buoyant. If their bones were hollow, they'd just pop right back up to the surface.
Oh, right. Okay.
Another fascinating adaptation is the position of their legs.
What's special about their legs? They look pretty normal to me.
Well, they're positioned further back on their body,
Okay.
which makes them incredibly efficient swimmers, but a bit clumsy on land.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It's all about reducing drag in that viscous water.
Exactly.
Form follows function.
Precisely. And their feathers have a special coating that repels water, helping them stay warm and dry even after a deep dive.
So the loon's adaptations are all about buoyancy, viscosity, and thermal conductivity. What about the ringed seal? How has it evolved to survive in those frigid Arctic waters?
Well, unlike the loon, the ringed seal is fully committed to life underwater.
Okay.
It spends most of its time submerged,
Right.
so it has much denser bones than the loon,
Okay.
which helps it stay below the surface.
That makes sense. It needs to be able to dive deep and hunt for food on the ocean floor.
Exactly. And just like fish seals have a streamlined body shape that minimizes drag as they move through the water.
Oh, so they've also adapted to water's viscosity just like the loon.
Yeah, you see these adaptations popping up everywhere in aquatic life.
That's cool. But how do they stay warm in those icy Arctic waters?
They have a thick layer of blubber for insulation, just like whales.
Right.
But here's where things get interesting.
Okay.
Because water has such a high specific heat capacity, the temperature of the ocean is relatively stable.
So unlike land animals that experience dramatic temperature swings,
Yeah.
the seals live in a much more consistent thermal environment.
Exactly. And because of this stable water temperature, they haven't evolved as many mechanisms for cooling down.
Oh, no. So if the ocean starts to warm up because of climate change,
Yeah.
these seals are going to be in trouble.
That's a major concern.
Yeah.
You know, they can overheat easily in warmer water,
Right.
and they're not equipped to handle those rising temperatures as well as some other species.
Wow.
It really highlights how even small changes in water temperature can have a big impact on an entire ecosystem.
That's a sobering thought.
It is.
It really drives home how interconnected life is with the properties of water.
It really does. You know, water is more than just a substance.
Yeah.
It's a force that shapes life, drives evolution, and influences the delicate balance of entire ecosystems.
So, Mr. Martin's class, as you delve deeper into the world of biology, remember that water is everywhere,
Yeah, it's everywhere.
playing a crucial role in every process you study,
From the tiniest cell.
to the vastness of the ocean.
It's amazing.
Water's unique properties are the foundation of life as we know it.
And here's something to ponder.
Okay.
If we ever find life on other planets, it's almost certain that water will be involved in some way. The search for extraterrestrial life is, in many ways, a search for water.
That's incredible. Well, we've certainly covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into the world of water.
We have.
Hopefully you've gained a new appreciation for this remarkable molecule and how its superpowers shape the world around us.
It's been a pleasure exploring the wonders of water with you.
Until next time, keep those brains buzzing, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.